Hi, I'm Lisa. This is 3 of Skeins Knit and Crochet Podcast, episode number 114.
Oh, I'm Cryss.
Hey, welcome. So, Cryss?
I was doing so good keeping up with the numbers and now I'm lost again. It's 114?
It's 114.
Okay. I don't know why I can't keep that straight. All right, yeah, 114.
Okay, so there we go. You see what kind of day it's going to be. Whatever shenanigans go down, just flow with it. Cryss, you've got some finished objects.
Mostly finished objects. So first let us talk about my crochet yarn.
Yeah.
Because it's doing a lot better. I had to, I had to stop crocheting for a while. Is really what I had to do. But she's doing much better, and I don't wake up in pain every day anymore. So, but obviously, the whole time I wasn't crocheting, I was feeling the crochet bug. So I ended up making a couple of little things, but while I was working on them, I was so much better about stopping and taking breaks and stretching. So even though I was crocheting a little bit, I did not aggravate my arm, and I really just have to take more breaks. It's crazy, but point is, I'm working on some bags. And I want to do like little things.
I just want to point out before you start showing your bags that you, like mom, mean when you're not crocheting, you're not like doing serious crochet.
No, so for like a week, I really didn't crochet at all, but I was missing it. So yeah, then I just started crocheting a little tiny, itty little, hardly counts at all. But I had this chunky yarn that I showed you all last week. It is called Plymouth Bay from Plymouth Yarns, and it's an 80-20 acrylic and wool. So I was initially going to make a skinny scarf, but the skinny scarf just wasn't happening because the fabric was just coming out too tight because the yarn is just so chunky. But I was like, you know what? If you get a slightly stiffer fabric, that kind of works well for bags. So I made a bag. It's just a silly, cute little pocketbook. This is exactly one skein. Oh no, yeah. So this is what was left. So this is one whole skein, and right now I just have the strap just kind of clipped on, but I'm gonna actually do a nice little attachment there. But I have a short little hand strap, and we have quite a few bag handles kicking around the house, mom in particular. But I worked it in the round, so I started making the bottom first, and then when I wanted to start making the body of the bag, I did one row of back loop, well, front loop only actually, so because that helps the direction of the crochet turn. So now the bag, instead of going around, I was working up, and then I did the same thing with the hand, with the flap, so where I wanted it to fold.
Just hold it up a little higher because you're out of frame. There you go.
So I did a front loop only, and again here, and that helps the bag stay closed. So it still needs some sort of clasp or something. And then I had these charms, and I decided to just use them because I had them, and I just thought they were a cute, fun little addition to the bag.
That's adorable.
Now, I worked in the round, but I didn't turn my round. So usually what I like to do is at the end of each round, I turn as if I was working flat. And I find, at least when I do it, it gives the whole bag kind of a twist. So it's kind of pulling to one side. And I think you can almost see that, like, there's a diagonal thing happening with the stitches here. But not that big a deal. It doesn't really bother me. However, I decided when I made the next bag, I would work turned rounds. And as you can see, no twist. But it does give you two different textures, because basically this bag, you're only seeing the front of these single crochet stitches. Here you're seeing front and back, so now you're getting those horizontal lines. So it's really just a matter of preference in terms of texture. if you worked turned rounds, you're going to get, you know, the traditional single crochet look. Is going to be slightly different if you don't turn your rounds. And like I said, it's just a matter of preference. But I would rather have, you know, the horizontal lines than have the twisting. Yeah. So I have a little lining in here, and basically I just made a rectangle, and then I stitched across the corners so that the lining will become three-dimensional. And what I'm going to do, I stitched that by hand. Apparently I can still stitch in a mostly straight line, stitching by hand. Have not done that in a while, so I was uncertain. But basically I'm going to fold the top of the bag, the top of the lining down over the bag, so you just get a little bit of that lining color showing on the outside of the bag. And then Mom has some handles, so it's going to have these cute little wooden handles. And it's just gonna be a tiny, cute little bag, and I'm like so excited. So this is not the same yarn though. This is not the Plymouth Bay yarn. So after I made this bag, I was like, I have more chunky yarn. So I had several skeins of this. This is Mirasol Yaya, and it's 100% wool. And I had it in a bunch of colors. So I've got some dark gray, I've got some teal, I've got some light gray, some purple, and I had this yellow. And so I'm just gonna make a few different bags. I think I can get about 4 bags out of what I have, depending on the style. And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm making cute little bags, and I love them.
And your hook, your number 10 hook is
seeing some action.
Finally seeing some action. I know it's feeling good.
She in the game now. She's like, put me in the game, coach. And turned out she'd be an MVP. So that's what I've been doing. But again, I have been taking breaks. So I don't even crochet now for a full 1 hour episode of a TV show. I stop after 30 minutes and I rest my arm, and I'm thoroughly convinced that's why I'm not in pain right now.
Wow, that's discipline for you.
It's hard though.
Yeah,
I
didn't say
want
it was
to
easy.
stop.
No, I didn't say it was easy.
Right.
But I think the discipline is paying off, because
yeah, I think so too.
when the pain starts traveling up your arm into your neck, that's no bueno.
That's pretty bad. It got pretty bad there for a while. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. I'm making some cute little bags, and I am bursting with ideas, y'all. Y'all don't know. So the last 2 weeks when I've been dealing with my arm thing, I feel like it really set me back. Because why are you laughing? Oh, I'm serious.
It's just I'm just picturing the ideas flying around you like a little swarm of bees.
They really have been. So hopefully, under my new regimen. And thank you to everyone who made recommendations, and people recommended books and really just commiserated with me. I didn't realize, I was embarrassed. I didn't want to talk about my crochet arm. And I was like, I'm not going to have any new crochet to show this week. But, I tried to just talk about my real experience. So I was like, well, this is what's going on with me. And it turns out a lot of us are dealing with this, because crochet is ever so slightly addictive. I don't know what that's about. Mm-hmm. But so thank you for sharing, and thank you for making your recommendations. And I am definitely taking it all in and working to make some changes. So that's what's going on with me at the moment.
Well, dun, 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 dun,
oh my God.
dun, dun. I've started actually.
She's got a little duck butt.
Creating the duck. Yes, I do have a little duck butt. So here is my chart, and unsurprisingly, the duck looks very much like the chart. Let me hold the duck up closer. So I'm going to tell you, this duck has so far right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bobbins hanging from the back.
I don't think I could do it.
Ends untold. But you know what? I am so glad that I had initially planned to do this sweater in the round. I'm so glad that when you suggested that I might want to do it in pieces, I went with that because having the whole sweater hanging from the needles and
the bobbin,
all the bobbins, that would have been quite a lot.
I've never done Intarsia with more than 3 skeins at a time, so I don't know how you're doing that.
It's not hard. The only thing I've had to really be mindful of is really locking the colors together. Because what you do, and I found a really great tutorial from Nimble Needles. Thank you, shout out Nimble Needles. And I will link to it because it was very helpful, very clear, and helped me with my technique of locking the yarn together one stitch before I actually changed color. That does make things much smoother. The yarn is right where you need it when you need it to be there. And you really do need to have a bobbin for every color placement. And I made one little boo-boo where I didn't have a bobbin and I actually knit across the row more than I needed to. So I just cut my yarn and restarted it on the other side of the row because of course it wasn't there because I brought it all the way across. But other than that, it was just one stitch, and I'm not doing Intarsia for one stitch anymore. What I should have done here is just done it in the color and then duplicate stitch over it to hide it.
So between the 2 legs, it's one stitch of the blue.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I put in yarn for one stitch and it really wasn't worth the time. Also, what I'm doing now is I have some places where I have individual highlights. So 1 stitch, 2 stitches. I'm marking them with pins and I will go back and duplicate stitch over them when I'm finished with the Intarsia completely. And then I will decide what I'm gonna do about the approximately 7 million ends I have lurking back here. Because when I'm finished with the yarn for a certain section, I lock it in and then cut it off.
Would you have made this sweater for yourself?
No. No, I would not have. Although
this is for our niece.
Yes, I'm thinking about Intarsia now, and I'm like, you know what? It's really not that bad. Would I do all over kind of Intarsia? I've seen some Intarsia sweaters that I thought were gloriously beautiful, but knowing what I know now, yes, they're highly unlikely. Highly unlikely to be produced by me. But yeah, so that's all I'm doing. I'm working slowly on my chart. Let me just give you some chart tips. My first one, blow that bad boy up. Oh my God. This has helped me so much. So very much. You know what? Of course I didn't bring my notebook over here, but I'll get, I did. Oh, good, go me. When I drew the chart initially, let me just show you the size comparison. I knew I could work from that. This is the original chart.
Oh.
And that's the chart.
You can't even see them together.
Yeah, you can't even see them together. And that's the chart I'm working from. So by hook or by crook, get that thing blown up because it makes all the difference in the world. Just to be able to see everything accurately. And what I'm doing here is I place a piece of washi tape. You can use anything you really have right above the line I'm working from, and that helps my eye go right where it needs to be because I have a wandering eye and I have been known to knit in half of one line and the other half of the other line, or just a few stitches from another line, and then I can't figure out why this looking a little funny. So have something that will draw your eye to where it needs to be and let it be big enough to really work from in the first place. Crystal laughs every time I'm working from this thing, but I don't think I could have done it without it being at this scale. Yes, I don't have a place to laugh, but it's big enough that it can stand up by the side of the table I'm working on. It's crazy. But that's what's going on. I finished the armhole shaping. With the first few rows of Intarsia, I was also doing some armhole shaping. But that's over, and I'm working even now until it measures about 9 inches. So now I don't have to worry about keeping track of how many stitches I'm decreasing on the ends. I can just focus on the Intarsia and keep it moving. That's crazy looking, I know. Oh, and I love these bobbins. I tried using bobbins last time I did Intarsia, but the yarn I was using...
Tangle.
Yeah, I did work from the tangle because I was working with fingering weight yarn, and I think the bobbins were too heavy for that yarn. So they were just a hot mess. But with heavier yarn, it keeps everything hanging straight, so I have way less tangling.
Okay.
That's what's going on with the duck chat.
So you had your little notebook out.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that.
For those who don't know, I have been committed to using one book for the last decade. I use one notebook at a time. It's my everything.
Like years ago, she bought a stack of them on sale, and she just pulls from the pile when she needs a new one.
Yeah, I just work it out, and it's everything. It's a date book, it's ideas, it's what have you. I've recently decided
kind of bullet journal style.
Yeah, it's basically a bullet journal. Recently, I've decided I'm going to separate my knitting out into its own book. And it was giving me a little agita. I liked it. It was great having one place where I could go and find all my knitting notes. But it was giving me agita that my notebooks were not together all the time. So sometimes I would be downstairs and my knitting notebook would be upstairs when I wanted to just write something down really quick. And I'd be like, where do I write this? So I got the idea to put both books together in some kind of cover. And Crystal had one just lurking around. Like, oh, she was like, hey, try this. And this is it. It's marvelous. So now I have both my notebooks in here. One in the front side of the cover, one in the back side of the cover. It can hold 2 pens, which I'm very excited about. I keep a little ruler tool for my notebook, so if I need to draw a line, I hate a wonky looking line. I know it's a sickness. So there's a little pocket for my ruler tool. I'm so excited. And now both my notebooks are always together, and they're always where I need them to be. It's been great.
So that folio is from a website called Mochi Things, but wait till they do the 30% off sale, because they're a little pricey, but 30% off, it comes down to like $30-something. So wait for a sale.
This was $30-something? Holy Moses, yeah.
And usually more. That's with the 30% off.
OMG, I had no idea. She just had this. She was like, hey, you said you wanted a book cover. I had no idea.
I went through a number of versions of like organizational systems, but what I realized is like I like small. Even this, which is like what, A5 size, was too big for me. I like a really small. So now I have just a small A6 size book, and it is perfect for me. But I went through so many because I kept buying big books.
Wow. I like, this is the perfect size for me. I don't really care for them to be bigger than this, and teeny tiny books I don't like.
I
They're too small. They're too small for me. Wow, okay. I had no idea.
So I had a couple of books, because Mom has one of my old binders too, so I had a few things laying around
that didn't work.
I was able to share. So I'm glad they're in use now.
Yeah, I love that thing. And now I never have to wonder, oh, nuts, my notebook is upstairs.
Did you want to remind everyone about virtual Vogue?
Yes, I did. We have a virtual Vogue coming up March 15th through 17th. I will be teaching this time, and it'll be like I'm right there in your living room with you. Yay. It's kind of neat. I will be teaching Sweater Savvy, how to make for a sweater that fits, and how to work a pattern with newly revised handouts. Yay.
So, we have 2 yarn crawls coming up.
Yes.
So one is the Greater Philly Yarn Crawl. That is in March. And then in April, we have the New Jersey Wool Walk. Pretty excited, I'm not gonna lie. I feel very fortunate to have 2 yarn crawls in my area. So I'm like, yay.
I have a goal for actually both yarn crawls. I don't know which one I'm going to be able to fulfill it in, but I want to get a copy of the book Embroidery on Knits. Now, I was just going to order it. They didn't have it at Vogue because they were sold out of it from Lina, from the company that makes it. And I was like, all right, I'll just order it when I get home. And as soon as they got it back into stock, I went to place my order. Why does it cost $17 to ship it?
And then the ebook version?
You know what? I really prefer a hard copy for my craft books. Most other books, I really don't care. I can go digital or not. But for craft books, I really want a physical copy. And the physical copy is $45. And the digital copy is $41. So you're not even saving a significant price.
Yeah, but that's shipping.
I know. I'm going to wander around the stores and see if anybody has a copy lurking around. Because then at least, because I put it in my cart and I put the shipping on it. And when I saw it was $62, I was like, nah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So
it is.
My goal for both the wool walks is to get a copy of.
I just got 5 skeins of yarn for less than that.
I know. Who are you telling? Why do you think I couldn't press go? They've been sending me the abandoned cart emails.
I hate that.
I love it. They sent me.
Do you still want it?
They sent me a 15% off, and even with 15% off,
you should take it at the 15% off though.
We're still with $17.
I know, but Lisa, it's coming from Lithuania.
I know it's coming from Lithuania.
It's going to take a little money to get it here.
I understand. You know what? I put the code in, so I'll think about it. I'll think about it by the end of the day today, and think. But girl, I couldn't pull the trigger. I could not pull the trigger on that.
So you're looking for one particular book?
Yes.
I mean, we're going to a number of yarn stores. Hopefully, we'll be able to find it. I myself have no clue.
Yeah, she's gonna be like,
I might do the thing I did a few years ago at New Jersey Wool Walk, where I bought one yarn at each store, and then I made a thing out of all of those yarns. That really turned out well, but no promises that I have that kind of control.
You can do it.
I don't know. I can, but I don't want to. Let's just tell the truth.
You know, we haven't even planned our route.
I know. I was looking at the New Jersey. So for New Jersey, the stores that are just furthest north, that are like across the way from Yonkers, I say we just skip those. Yeah. That's 90 minutes. And yeah, so
we have to leave early and start out.
You have to think
and work our way back.
The stores as being clustered, right? So different areas, there's like little groupings of stores that it's, you know, fairly easy to get to, you know, going from one to the other. So up in the furthest north, of New Jersey, there's like 4 stores, but then south from them, it's still quite far north from us, there's like a cluster of 7 stores. Now, it wouldn't be hard to get from one store to the next, but do we want to try to do 7 stores in one day? I don't know. So we're going to have to play that one by ear. And then for the last few years, I've been trying to get to the Yarn Attic and the Spinnery, because those are kind of like west, but still in New Jersey, not in Pennsylvania. But they're like an hour away, so I haven't made it there yet. And then Mother Knitter's 90 minutes. So it's a lot of driving. So I haven't made it to any of the northern stores, you know, each year. And but we just made it to Mother Knitter for the first time last year. And
so worth it though.
It was. It's a really nice store. And then there's Yarn Attic and Spinnery, which we still just haven't gotten to.
Well, we would have made it to the Yarn Attic, but we had car trouble.
Yeah, we were on our way. We were on the road, and we had to get a tow. So we'll try that again this year. I know, I was just thinking, I hope the weather doesn't mess with us this year. But so I've been plotting out most of the New Jersey stores, but I haven't looked at the Pennsylvania store. A lot of those though, because so New Jersey will walk is the whole state. The Philly Yarn Crawl is just in and around the city of Philadelphia, so a lot of those stores are just much closer together.
Yeah.
So it should be easier to hit most of the stores. I think Philly is 16 stores, and I think ours is 22?
Yeah, last year I think it was 22.
So we'll see how many stores we get to. That's my plan. The one thing I want this year is to go to a store, at least one store that I haven't been to previously in the New Jersey Will Walk. So that's my main goal.
That's it for that? Cool. Oh, well, I thought about it. Hey, like and subscribe, all right?
It makes her mom happy.
It does.
Like, really, though. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, she really gets very excited. So, just earlier today, actually, Lisa and I were having a discussion because I'm reading this book called Deluxe by Dana Thomas. And it came out in 2007. And it's about all the kind of charting the trajectory of all of the luxury brands, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Dior, basically how they each got their start, how ownership transferred largely from the families that started these stores to corporate entities, and how they are structured today, and how they market themselves and how they've made their brands so popular. Because basically the strength of these brands is that they're really selling to people who are not rich. So one of the things they did was just offering crap like the wallets, the sunglasses, the keychains, the twillies.
Forgot about the twillies.
The little things that are considered accessible for people who don't have a lot of money. They really built these brands off of poor people. Because a lot of these companies used to be strictly couture, used to be strictly like
made to order.
Yes, everything was custom. You came to the atelier and you chose your fabrics and what have you. But that is not scalable. You can do that for 100 people. You can't do that for 10,000 people. And that they also like right after World War II, when these brands were trying to like rebuild themselves after the war, they were licensing and franchising. So you might go to a Chanel store in New York, but it was independently owned. They just bought the name Chanel. They were paying to use that name. But this was just an independent operator who was making and selling their own stuff, and they were just allowed to put the name Chanel on it. So one of the things they did, these brands, they reclaimed all of their licenses and franchises and stopped allowing people to do that and started making their own things. But they also started mass producing these things. And for me, personally, I don't know that I see the value in when you kind of see behind the scenes of how they're marketing, like how they were targeting celebrities to, make their products appealing to the general public, because there was a switch. Fashion magazines really focused on models in their magazines, but there was a definite shift from featuring models to featuring celebrities, or how they, use like kind of big name designers like Marc Jacobs and Tom Ford, brought them on board, really just kind of like stunt casting, just to have those big names to get press, basically, by playing around with what the idea of what these brands were. So they were really changing the image of these brands. And even if, the traditional fashion media didn't like it, the public responded. They're building these like mega stores because they just kind of packaging an idea, but still selling, stuff they can produce a lot of very cheaply and offering like 1,200% markups. And I was saying to Lisa, so I made a dress. It's handmade, it's custom for me, it's literally a one of a kind, and I use silk yarn. And we were talking about whether or not that dress would be considered luxury. Because that's what luxury used to mean, except that, someone else made it for you, right? That was kind of the main difference. But if you make it yourself, are those techniques and the customization and the fact that it, like I said, it's literally a one-of-a-kind piece, is that luxury in today's market? Because I don't think I could sell that dress for $20,000, but the same exact dress with the name Prada or Chanel on it,
yes,
could be sold for $20,000. And why is that? Is that us? Is that our fault that we have elevated the perceived value of things that don't necessarily have that value based on what they are and how they've been manufactured? We've invested so much in simply the name. At one point, these companies made money just by selling the name to other businesses and letting them manufacture products under those names. So now that's all in-house. Now, Louis Vuitton is actually making Louis Vuitton products. They're not just selling the name, but you're not getting what Louis Vuitton originally was.
Which was custom boxes and bags for people traveling that would fit your stuff exactly. So when you pulled it out wherever you were ready to go.
So what is luxury today? Is what we are doing, you, I, Lisa, hand making things custom that no one else will have? Is that luxury, or does the process not count anymore? I
don't know. I don't know. That's where we ended up. I would love to hear what you guys think. What is luxury? And is something that you have made yourself, could that be considered a luxury product? Or would it not be just because you made it yourself? Even if you made it out of cashmere, or if you made it out of, what were you talking about, your gloves?
I'm a sable.
You sable.
Cashmere sable gloves. But is it not luxury because it's handmade or homemade? When those techniques used to be the substance of luxury. That's what defined luxury. Mm-hmm. And when did that shift? And now these companies, I should say, they do still have a very, very small customer base, like very small. They keep saying, I keep hearing the statistic that there are 200 women in the world who still purchase couture clothing. They still have very small audience for whom they do make these custom one-of-a-kind, come to the atelier and, be waited on hand and foot. But, I mean, literally in the hundreds of people on the planet who are able to have those kinds of experiences.
Is that luxury?
Yet that experience and what they sell in their mega stores are still considered luxury because they still have the same name. They still have the same brand. We making luxury, y'all? I feel like I am. I don't know.
I think we are.
And
it's kind of a head trip to think of it that way, that you're making luxury garments for yourself because you can control the quality of the materials. You know exactly how much time went into it. Mm-hmm. If you judge it by person hours, it's a very expensive garment just from the labor and the materials that went into it.
What is the difference between, the one-of-a-kind handmade dress by Cryss in Jersey versus the mass-produced, garment made with the label Prada or Chanel? I don't know. Like, have we lost sight of value completely? Or am I just ego tripping because I make clothes? Like, I'm perfectly willing to accept that possibility, you understand? Mm-hmm. But if you just hear the description, if you left my name out of it and you just heard a description of the dress, you would think, oh, wow, that's luxury, that's couture. But then when you slap Cryss and Jersey on the label, the story changes for a lot of people. So like I'm often at a loss as to like describe the space I'm in when I want to say, you know, what I do. Am I a crafter? Am I a couturier? Am I a fashion designer? I don't know. I really don't know how to describe it. And because I mostly talk to other people who do the same thing, it doesn't matter. But if you're talking to someone who doesn't make things, what do you say? How do you describe that? I don't know. So this book is really good. I recommend it. I'm about a third of the way through it. It's Deluxe by Dana Thomas. It was published in 2007, and I would love for her to do a follow-up book and talk about the luxury industry now, because I'm sure a lot of the things she was talking about have changed, or probably certain practices have expanded. But it's just been really interesting to see like the behind the scenes of these luxury brands and how like ugly some of the corporate nonsense behind the scenes gets. And it's been a fascinating read. And I don't read a lot of nonfiction, but I'm enjoying this book as much as any novel. So check it out. I got it from a library. Check it out.
Yeah, she's got me thinking about reading that one. I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting.
So that was all. I just had that on my mind. I thought I'd put it to y'all. Love to hear what y'all think about it. But I think that's all we've got for today.
Yeah, absolutely. See you guys next week.
Stay stitching.